Patriotism is often demanded from the followership, even by the leaders to a particular country. And we found out how much of this patriotism, as much as being demanded from the followership, is also being given out by the leadership. In Nigeria today, it has become a common phenomenon that our elected president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has oftentimes reiterated the fact that the citizen should sacrifice, that the moment and the time in which we are, it's a time to sacrifice, because we have to face the dire consequence of the removal of a subsidy in order to reap the dividends of democracy later on. Having found out that the so-called subsidy to PMS, Premium Motor Spirit, popularly called petrol, has become a source and a bane to corruption in Nigeria. And ever since it has been removed, as declared gone, so many hardship and untold suffering had become the order of the day, as the pump price of the said fuel had been going up. Now, from about 500 naira per liter in some parts of the country, it has now become over 600 naira per liter in some parts of the country. I welcome you to the Ambassadors on Dove Television. My name is Mike Adekunle. On the program today, we are going to be looking at some of these happenings that has, happened over the time as regarding the situation of economy and well-being of Nigeria under this current leadership. We also going to be looking at some of other issues we are, expected to be informed about in the area of education, in the area of welfare, and more. I'd like you to stay tuned to Dove Television so that you can hear more. My guest on the program today, who will help us do justice to these and many other things we are going to be looking at on the program, is a leadership strategist and a Harvard certified, leader. I'm talking about no other person than Dr. J.M.O. Ekundayo. Good to have you with us again today.
Thank you, Pastor Mark, for having me.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate you for always, appearing with us to share with us out of your wealth of knowledge.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, as I said, we have a new leadership, as we have it in Nigeria. The new president, who is barely 2 months, in office. How do you assess what he has done so far? What do you have to say? And in conjunction with the current situation of living, as we speak right now?
Well, it's a bit difficult to assess. Let me just start that way. In the place where I come from, there's an adage that says we are bringing out a bird from the pocket. Whether it's yellow or black, whatever color, you don't know yet.
Don't know.
But at the same time, the others, some of us are near to them, says also that for a child that will grow tall, you look at the leg.
The legs have to be thin.
The leg has to be thin. So with certain moves, the president had taken, right from the inauguration, he was so determined, announcing to the whole world, extempore, because that was not in the speech. Yeah. But then that subsidy is gone. That took courage. And, many observers, analysts like myself, were like, this man is up and against the labor and whatever. But then there was a respite. People were watching, okay, what will come out? Saying we should sacrifice, saying we should be patient. And we could see past leaders who have preached the same message to us. Tighten your belt, structural adjustment, please bear with us, things will be better. after Nigerians waited for years, not just the last administration, even past administration, their lots have not been bettered. That's the truth and the bitter truth.
Because the question is for how long? Because Nigerians, sir, if you will be fair in your judgments, Nigerians have been a whole lot enduring over the years. But for how long are we going to keep enduring and this patience and this sacrifice for how long?
Well, like I started with two proverbs. One is we are bringing out a bird from the pocket. We don't know the color yet. So I think it's a little bit less wait. By the time this government is 100 days old,
okay,
for me as an analyst, for me as a strategist, I'll be able to put one and one together and see where are we going. Whether we are integrating in the language of mathematicians or we are differentiating, we'll be able to say, you know, where we are going. So it's just about 50-something days.
Okay.
Hopefully, before the end of this week, the cabinet will come out. Hopefully, any moment from now, let me just say. So, because the Constitution says 60 days. So,
okay,
we begin to see, are the right people in right offices? Because that's very key. The president cannot do it alone. A tree cannot make a forest.
Definitely.
So we begin to see. Then there are a lot of, like according to the special advisor to Mr. President, Mr. Dele Alaki, on strategy, communication, and special duties. He said this present government is not coming with palliatives. And I was a bit surprised when I read the news item about 8,000 naira for 12 million households.
Talking about palliative, let's look at leadership and welfareism.
Okay.
You know, in leadership, there is care and candor. Let's know at what time should we expect welfare, say palliative, say a way of caring for the citizen. Is it part of leadership strategy to care about the citizen, to care about the followership? You know, this care we are talking about, this welfareism we are talking about, is it in any of these our leaders at all? Do they even know that people are suffering?
Well, let me just say, because, you know, to just take the question, the way you asked, caring is part of leadership.
Good.
In part of my PhD, I did, by the grace of God, I did servant leadership. And one of the things in servant leadership is empathic listening.
Yeah.
It's not just listening. Pastor Mike is speaking to me, I'm listening to him. No. Empathic listening. I put myself in your shoe when I'm listening to you. Like people in the creek now, you know, in the riverine area,
yes,
you know, oil spillage and whatever, and somebody is speaking there, I don't have water to drink. I imagine myself having no water to drink. I'm living in the city. You see, my family have been destroyed. Yeah. I can't even fish anymore. I put myself there, that my means of livelihood, somebody or some companies are taking it away. And then how do I survive? How do I breathe? I put myself there. So that's one of the things in servant leadership. So asking leadership, caring is part of it. You are leading. You are in front. And some people are following you. So how do you make them to follow you? And if you are the only one going that direction and they are not following you, you are only taking a walk. You are not leading. So empathy or caring, you call it, is part of it. Now, that our leaders, do they even know whether followers are suffering? That's a very big question. You see, because in Nigeria, we don't care much about feedback. Okay. We don't care much about feelers from followers, from feedback from followers. And, you know, I'm a followership scholar. That's part of the two. I had two theories in my PhD. One is servant leadership, the other is followership. Okay. And followership, you don't have many people studying it. People want to talk about leaders and leaders. It's about talking about followers. It's like you have a coin. A coin does not have one side. A coin has two sides. One side is that of the leader, the other one is that of the followers. Yes. So, and it's like that in leadership. If the two are not there, there's no leadership. And mostly you have 80% who are followers. The rest 20% are leaders. So there are more followers in any context than there are leaders, whether in organization, whether in the polity. So it should be one of the preoccupations of leaders to care, how are my followers faring? Whether in organization like we are now, whether in the polity, in the civil service, whether in government, whatever, it should be to care about You know, the average person that's working on the floor, whether in a manufacturing company or whatever, how is that person faring? And then there are certain policies that we dovetail to programs, that we dovetail to projects, you know, in developmental terms.
That
I'm using that terms now.
Also dovetail into
to,
feeding the
yes, touching the followers, touching the electorate to see. And then government will not just sit down. The leader will not just sit down. A wise leader will not just sit down. A wise leader will now appoint some people. They may not even be in government. They may not even be special advisor. They may not be cabinet ministers. They may not even have any title. You see, but I will be going to the wards, to remote units.
Okay.
In Nigeria, 176,000 plus or whatever, 177,000, that will go to Samfara, to Ebonyi, that will go to places like Ekiti, go to places, you know, far away, maybe in Niger State or whatever. You know, yes, like that. And tell the Mr. President, we found out this. We found out this. These are the things we found out. Like we are talking about this palliative now.
But is it difficult to do? Because it appears as
it's not like one of my mentors. It's not a rocket science.
Yes.
Leadership is not about rocket science. If we are, you mentioned a key word the other time, candor, which is from the word candid, which is from the word integrity. And one of the things we study in leadership, you know, there's a particular book written, and incidentally, they were written by Christians who are professors.
Wow.
Leadership Challenge.
Okay.
If you click on Google now, you see it. You know, those who are watching me, Leadership Challenge by Posner and by Kisner and Posner. You know, the two of them, they are professors and they are Christians. And they did a research that spans over 25 years, not just in America, in all the continents of the world.
Okay.
And what were they looking for? They were looking for the most admired value, most admired quality that any follower will see in a leader and say, well, I'm following you. And they went round all the continents.
Okay.
Oceania, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, Africa, all over. And what did they discover? Very simple.
What?
Pastor Mike.
What?
Integrity. Candor.
Integrity.
Yes. Yes. It's not even about service. It's not even I will do this for you, I will do that. But we have looked at you at the past. You spoke. And we met it like that. And we think
you are truthful to your word.
Yes, and we think we can follow you. Whatever you are even saying now, we know that since in the past.
Since in the past, you have been
consistently,
integrity.
You know, you have consistently shown integrity and truth. So we know that what we are saying now too, we can follow you, and we can see in the hallmark of some prime minister, president like that in the world. Let me tell you, in Malaysia, something happened. You know, I did my PhD there, and there was one of their prime minister that was prime minister for 19 years by their own democracy. Dr. Mohammed Mahathir.
Okay.
He was prime minister. And you know, recently, about 3 years back or so, they had to recall him out of retirement at the age of almost 92. Because the whole country was like going down. Say, come and lead us again. Wow. Even, he couldn't come into the main party, ruling party.
Okay.
The amalgamation of opposition parties had to support him. And he won. And he ruled for 8 years before they had to now. But what do I want to bring out? Because they could see that man consistently 19 years. It was then Malaysia moved forward. Malaysia, as I speak, have about 5 types of railways. You can Google it. 5 types, not just one. We are shouting only one. About 5 different types. There's an express train from the airport right to Kuala Lumpur that will take you non-stop. You know, and there were other many things like that. You see, when he was retiring as the leader of the party, can you imagine? People were crying.
So why are
because
all
he
these
cared
things,
for them.
Yes, but why are all these things difficult here in Nigeria?
I said before.
There's nobody who has led us in Nigeria.
I said it's not rocket science. Let me give you an insight. You see, because I did my PhD there, and I read a lot. And I observed a lot. And I discovered that Malaysia is called an Islamic country, right?
Okay.
But what you will see that when there's a public gathering, the only thing you will see is they will say, well, they are reciting the dua, which is like for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. After that, it's the business of the day, and that's the end. You see, you know, I was there, I planted 2 parishes of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Nobody is saying don't go there, but they will sell root for you. seal your this thing. You must not go outside here. You know, and once you go, you have your way. You do whatever you want to do about your religion, but you should not disturb another person. You see, but the aspect I want to bring out there is that the ruler Malaysia, you are talking about caring.
Yeah.
The ruler Malaysia cannot forget Mahathir, ever. He's still alive at about 94, 95. Why? Because agro-allied, agribusiness was the in thing in Malaysia. Good. He empowered the farmers.
Good.
So to the extent that they were moving from the urban areas to the rural areas. There were farm settlement. You enjoy digital TV Good. And whatever in Good. Farm settlement. You make more money than working in the city.
Sir, we are in the same...
So that is why they were winning more in the rural areas than the urban. Urban people were criticizing the ruling government year after year, but they kept on winning. Why? Because the majority in the rural areas. If our president could get this right, President Tinubu could get this, could be empowered.
Sir, I so much appreciate what you are saying right now. You and I were in a forum, and I was speaking on that forum about 2 days ago. A few days ago now, about agriculture. Well, now we are talking about palliative, doling out about 8,000 naira, as it were, but now has been put under review. Why couldn't the government look into agriculture? Why couldn't they, invest more? Though we saw the communique by Dele Alake, the special advisor, talking about the palliative, that it's not going to be only money. Say the 8,000 naira, though that is under review. The seedlings and seeds of crops and all that are going to be given out to farmers. Now, what are they going to do to ensure that there is rural development and food? Sir, if food is taken care of, you elders, you always say that if food is taken care of... Out of poverty will remain small.
Yeah.
But what are they doing investing in food production?
I believe that this will get to our leaders in government.
Yes, sir.
At the federal level.
Yes, sir.
Specifically at the state level. And this has been my heart cry in my column in the Nation's newspaper every Sunday.
Good.
Agribusiness. We have neglected it. And let me just say this. Do you know our problem in Nigeria? Do you know our pain?
Yeah.
We don't like process. Every nation, every country in the world.
Finished products.
Yes. Every country in the world that develops. One thing is, they are followers of process. Is you move from this point to this point to this point before you get this. Yeah. But Nigeria, this oil doom, this oil, I won't call it oil boom, has really blinded us, and we are not thinking. All with Nigeria, many Nigerians believe in, I get a supply, procurement. It's 15 million. I will make a profit of 20 million. They give me a contract. It's 500 million. Yes, they are giving me advance payment of 200 million. That is not development. You are not producing any good, So it's not even adding to economic metrics, as we are saying, until you empower people's life who are able to produce along the chain of line. But when we talk about agribusiness, do you know there are crops that can come out in 3 months? In fact, in 1 month. So do you know there are modern... No, wait, there are modern seedlings. They are modern siblings.
I said this in that forum, and somebody was arguing with me.
Because why? We have been so much brainwashed and how will I say? Is it to believe that, Greek is not... In fact, many people will tell you this, and it's good. I pointed out this at this program. Many people will tell you, government has no business in business. It is not true. It's a fallacy. Because Awolowo, if Shibo Bafemi Awolowo, in the old Western region, had sat down, and we were looking for the likes of Adeola Odutola then, who were mighty industrialists, to come and help Western region. We wouldn't have been talking about him today. In my local parlance, where I came from, there's a language in the local parlance. It is the owner of the load. Now, first of all, put the hand on the load before the other people will come.
To carry it.
He said in my language, but we now say government has no business in business. We are in redemption camp today. It's not camp, it's becoming a city. It's redemption city. Now, somebody started this vision. Somebody was living here, and other people came to live with him. And then now he's turning around. It's not that I sit down, I say, I will beat, and it will be like this, and it will be like that. So our government, is high time they land. It's high time they land all these. The process has to be there. Clearing of land, be involved in it. Of course, you can have incentive for entrepreneurs, for investors to come in, but you need to, first of all, set up some team. How did Jeremiah Obafemi Awolowo, how did he do it in the Western region? How? You know, and in Malaysia, the oil palm, something I was telling you about.
Yeah, you mentioned that, yes.
Phenomenon. During the time of Mohammed Mahathir, you know, Dr. Hem, how? Going to the rural areas, you know. In fact, he had to set up what is called FAMAC. FAMAC is a small agency that if you plant tomato at the back of your house, and I plant something else too at the back of my house, and it's germinating. Do you know in Malaysia, there are outlines you will call. Once you call them and you tell them, I have so and so, and it's so ton, they will come. They will buy it from you, and they will pay you. They will grade it. So you know that you can make income apart from working here by planting something.
There will not be issue of, okay, I've planted, I've harvested,
these
where am I going to
ideas
sell
that we
it?
can learn from other people. So you have oil palm around where you are staying, within 1 or 2 plots, and you have harvest fruit. They will buy from you apart from the one that government has their own plantation.
Their own plantation.
Right now, Malaysia is producing diesel, AGO you call it, from oil palm produce. Not just vegetable oil.
They are the largest producer of
no, they are the
oil.
second.
The second now,
followed by Indonesia. But do you know what? Malaysia is still number 1 and number 2. Do you want to know?
Okay.
I will tell you. You know, the land in Indonesia is very cheap. Labor in Indonesia is very cheap. And they are, just like Republic of Benin to Nigeria, they are neighboring countries. So, and Malaysia has the money. So they now move to Indonesia with large land because they have nearly cultivated all their lands. They now move to Indonesia and with cheap labor and cheap land and invested there.
So it now appears now that
Indonesia is leading. But actually the people behind it are Malaysians. So they are number 1, they are number 2, and they are smiling to the bank. And that is helping the economy. Because it's not just the agri something, it's now even into industrialization. Producing the king size oil you are eating in the market. It's not ororo, it's not from vegetable oil, it's not from groundnut oil, it's not from melon, it's from palm oil, bleached palm oil from Malaysia. They are producing it, and they are producing diesel for their local market as well. 1 product from oil palm. We can measure on some products depending on the locality we are in.
I want to believe it's right. I heard of Governor Soludo.
Yes.
Yeah,
coconut
this
and oil palm. He went to Malaysia and got the Sydney. You know, when I was in Malaysia, my wife went to a farm.
I was told Malaysians, they came here to get those seeds. Now we are going back to them.
Because that's a story. That's a story. Their own story has changed to glory. And I'm praying that our own story will change to glory in Nigeria. You know, it's all they didn't stop there. The seed you are talking about, they now did research. And a professor in Indonesia came out with a research, a hybrid, Pastor Mike, that can produce palm fruits in 2 years. I and my wife were in such plantation. A Malaysian took us around. In 2 years.
In 2 years.
It won't be taller than this. And you see fruit.
With heavy fruits.
Yes. And by the time it's 2.5 years, you can see 6 fruit on 1 tree. It's not exaggeration. You can't. And the more it's growing in years, the more the trunk is enlarging. The more it will carry fruits. The less the palm kernel inside by the research, the more palm oil quantity coming out. That was the research. They took from us, but they improved innovatively, creatively. So, you see, when I think about Nigeria, and having been in Malaysia, I've been in Singapore, at times I just look at, that's why people see me on forum, I talk passionately, I write passionately.
It's good to actually travel.
It's not rocket science.
It will widen your
It's not rocket science, but do we have leaders of integrity who will be ready to bear the cat and step on toes and say, we cannot continue to do things this way?
We are due for a break. When we come back from the break, we'll look more into some of these things we can provide solutions by the special grace of God. All right, viewers, kindly stay tuned with us. We shall be back. God bless you. Watch The Ambassadors on Dove Television as we take you through the rudiments and fundamentals of politics and good governance and how you can be involved. The Ambassadors is showing every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Nigerian time. Welcome back. We are still on the program, The Ambassadors on DAF Television. And Dr. J.M.O. Adekunle is still here, leadership strategist. We've been looking at leadership and welfareism, because a leader is not a leader without followership. And the followership had to be taken care of. So we've been looking at this current administration and their plans and policy to taking care of the followership, because it appears right now that things are skyrocketing, and the way of life or the way of living right now is becoming, we are now living by the grace of God, so to say. So let's just, put it that way. But we thank God, God has been faithful. God has been faithful. Now, petroleum determines everything about us, determines the price of everything, because that is just the backbone of our economy, and we are looking at how to diversify. Dr. Adekunle here had said that government should look into agriculture. Very, very important. Now, I mentioned something, sir. I don't know whether it's correct or whether it can be done. Why can't we have all these things in bites rather than in chunks of large ministries? Why can't we have it probably in commissions? Commissions, maybe a commission focusing on crop, food crops alone. We have cash crops, we have food crops. If my elementary studies in agriculture can still serve me well, my memory in agriculture. We have food crops, we have cash crops. Can we have Ministry of Agriculture splitted into commissions? Let's have some people focus mainly on food crops. Some focus mainly on cash crops. Why under agriculture? Some focus on another. Now, look at wheat now. Russians, they've said that they are out of grain bid and all that, supplying of grains. And our the World Trade Organization leader, Mrs. Kojo-Iweala, Dr. Mrs. Kojo-Iweala, was saying that this is going to be a serious, issue to us, mostly in Africa. Now, can we look into some of these areas to coaching these effects rather than talking about money?
Let me start from that premise of your geography. Your geography, my geography is old. It's archaic.
Okay.
Modern geography now, I tell you, or modern practice, there's no cash crop.
Okay.
There's no more food crop. It used to be food crop, cash crop.
Cash crop, yes.
You see, but do you know you can take tomato and make it exportable? I mean, you can take granules, you can take any item whatsoever. The Chinese, they are keen to this. They are taking some of our this thing and they are processing and bringing back to us. I said one thing the other time, the African mentality, it's not just Nigerian mentality, is that of let me hunt for animal, let me kill it. Don't you ask your question? Don't you? I mean, one time that the Adeboye was ministering on the altar, I was there on the Holy Ghost service, and he said, "Well, I won't call you by the name, so that because the whole world is watching us now. Pama, why are we still eating pama? I mean, why? You see, whereas Brazil, they are looking for the leather. Italy, they are looking for the leather.
We are eating it here.
We are eating it. Let me tell you one thing. In Malaysia, you dare not sell palm oil in the market. It's a law. Find out from anybody that travel to Malaysia. We have Nigerians who are there. We have members of FCCG there. If you are at all, you find it's an African that brought it to the market.
Okay.
Because it's there. You don't. Because they will refine it. There's refined palm oil. They call it RPO. They refine it. Wow. And there are other things they move out from there.
Get from it.
Yes, cream and other things for industries. So our African mentality, do you know that Africa produced the largest tea used in lifting by Unilever? So it is high time we began to be interested in process. We produce, Kenya and Tanzania produce about 80% of the tea.
I think our major challenge is what you just mentioned.
It's about processing. It's about process. So whatever, my own thing would be, there was a time I traveled by road between Cross River, passing through Imo State, passing till I got to Port Harcourt to board a plane because I missed my plane in Calabar many years ago, many years. Okay. Now, But while passing through that, I discover there's a kind of, for those who are around from that area now, Bayelsa, River State, there are certain potato in that area. You don't find it even in the market in Lagos here. The color is purple color at the back.
Okay.
My goodness, I bought very sweet. I've traveled to, I've not seen that type. If that one should be processed, if that one should be, prepared so that it doesn't spoil, there's a way you can prepare all these things and export it. Do you know that from Japan, they export this into Singapore, potato? This potato we are talking about, because we are talking about food called crash. So forget about crash. We have all these things. Do you know our yam? Chinese are doing something with yam now. Yam. So it's high time we need to have international food summit, international agri summit. You see, let people come from all over the world. We'll be surprised, even from that, what will come out from there. So every area, whether Bayelsa, rivers, you just look at, say these people are riverine area. Let me tell you, there are things that they grow there that if it reaches Lagos, they reach Lagos, you'll be surprised.
I was talking so much.
So everybody should concentrate on your strengths and produce. So the government, federal and state government, please don't let all these people come and hijack this process. Make sure you get people who are men and women of integrity to follow, to do monetary evaluation of the process and support these people to produce. So, in 3-6 months, we'll be surprised.
I'd like us to quickly address two things. And one is security, and number two is the effects and the meaning or the brain behind doling out of funds. For example, probably this has been our challenge. A state government is waiting that my allocation is coming from Abuja. And he is less concerned about being creative on how to raise or how to source for the fund around him, looking into agriculture. There is no state in Nigeria that cannot venture into agriculture.
No state.
But then, they are all waiting for this allocation, this money. And talking about palliative, the first palliative even our federal government will think of is to say money to household. How much of this money can they get? How much? Where can it go? And how can we look away from this get-rich-quick syndrome of a thing and look deeper into what can fetch us something that we can really rely on and hand over even to our unborn children?
Well, I would just say this, that about giving out something. Well, in other clients too, they do that during COVID-19.
Yeah, they do.
You see, but the thing is, we don't have the appropriate data register for these things. I said it in a program yesterday. I'm saying it here today, that if the president, thank God he has cancelled it and is no more going that route.
But not even cancelled now. They said it's under review. They might still come up with it again.
If they want to come out, it's better they don't use that register. I would not support that register. You know why?
Okay.
I'm saying it again. You see, because that particular register, the last time, I don't know in your local government, how many people told you and said, Pastor Mike, they reach me?
I've not seen
I don't know people in my own ward that say they reach him. You see, but there was one that was done in Ekiti State for the elderly by the former governor, Dr. John Kayode Fayemi. People were testifying. But mama of 60, 65, 70, but that they reach me, they gave me 5,000 every month. How? They did it local government by local government, community by community.
Okay.
That is one thing the federal government can do. We know it is not 100% something, but at least those who want to hijack this fund, before you know it, just like the palliative, some people find their warehouse and they pack it there the same way they will pack the money. Because this register, how can we even verify what is there in the register?
It can't be trusted.
Yes, and if you say somebody was saying use NIN, well, you won't be there when they are putting the money in the account or BVN. So it is, we have done it for 20 million Nigerians. John Adekunle will not be there. Pastor Adekunle will not be there
to verify that.
So anything can happen. In the account of one person, you can find the one man for 20,000 people. And and there's some other people will cry, it has not reached my side. They say, hey, it has reached your side. And they don't have voice. They are voiceless. They're vulnerable in the society. You see, but if we can go through traditional rulers, through local government chairman, councillors, there are ward by wards, there are units. At least reaching out some people in the unit, in the ward, in the local government,
Yes.
we will know that some people benefit. And then some state government are doing something now, like Imo State. I love what the governor is doing.
Okay.
Has already reviewed upward the minimum wage.
Okay.
No, I don't know the exact amount now. I can't remember, but it has reviewed upward. So, and do you know for allocation of this July,
Yes.
state it's into trillion now. So it's a lot of money for states.
Somebody hinted me on that.
Yes,
Now we need
it's
to.
real.
It's Senator Benga Otumba Benga
Okay.
Daniel that mentioned it. That now the allocation to states now has been increased.
In fact, it's already in the news now.
So what are we doing with it? What are they going to be?
That means,
who is monitoring that
and
fund?
that means the followers in every state should cry out. It's not only now people are talking President Bola Tinubu. What about your governor? Even this issue of agric in the constitution is more of the state government, because the land, no federal government can come from anywhere and say, I'm using this land. The governor can say,
the
no, I
land
refuse
belongs
you.
to the states.
Yes. So the governors, when we are talking about agri-business, in fact, 80% rests on the governor to do something about it. Nobody is stopping any state governor from doing ranching. Nobody, not even Buhari stop anybody. It's only because we were just so lackadaisical and we are just on. That's the way I will look at it. We pay much of this service to agri. We show it on television. You know, I remember one of my relatives who happened to be a farmer somewhere in the southwest. Say, they will come to our farm and carry camera there as if it is government something, and they will go and show it on the media. That's why anybody showing me anything, media something for any government advance anywhere, I don't believe it. It could be a ruse somewhere else.
Media can lie.
Media just propaganda. So, when we begin to work this way, if we are really honest about this thing, we'll get through. I remember I was telling somebody, you see, we are now depending on tomato. Can you imagine? And pepper from the north. Yes. We in the southwest. When I was going to primary school, my father will only give money to my mother to buy cow meat, nama. If he didn't kill bush meat from the farm. And if we didn't get fish from the farm, then you can buy the fish that you can buy from market, and cow, the beef.
Yes.
Those two items. Every other item
is from the farm.
There will be a day my mother with my sister will go to the farm, pluck pepper, tomato, bring all home, and that's it. And we make soup. But today now, go to Southwest State. We have our own tomato in the Southwest. It's not this other one from the North. Yes. It used to be, roundish like this, and very sweet, very delicious. All of us, we left all our distance, Port Harcourt, Lagos, Abuja, looking for what is not lost. And now, we are all crying. Tomato is now, and those people told us, whether it's a lie, we don't know. The disease happened in the north, and that's why the price has skyrocketed in the last 3 months to about 100%. So we are their beck and call because we have left our primary duty. Many people rush to the city, and what work are they doing? What were they giving them 40,000 per month, 30,000 per month as a master degree?
As at 17th of July, the inflation rate was 22.39%.
If the security is done, Pastor Mike, like you are talking about security, let the state government and the federal government fix security. And then if that happens, do you know my preaching to people? It is high time. It is high time leaving the cities to the towns, to the villages.
Talking about the security issue right now, because bandits are on the farm. We heard that they even collecting taxes from farmers before they could access their farms.
In the north. Yeah.
Yes. So what do we say to this as well? Insecurity in the land.
Let's give the present administration some time. Like I said, 100 days, we'll see. Is it because I think the military guys are flexing their muscles?
They are warming up.
Yes, they are really flexing their muscles. They are doing some things, underground and, virtually in all the regions, especially in those red flash area, red spot, they are doing something. So in the next 60 days or another 40 days, we should be able to see respite. And if this thing happen, then and the federal government and the state government are doing more for agribusiness, like what Professor Shukuma Sholudo is doing at Anambra State. Yes. Kudos to him. Governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman, Abdurrahman too.
Yes.
He brought in the French. They are doing the animal this thing to get milk. A lot. The governor of Borno State, Sulum, Professor Sulum,
yes.
Wonderful. Tractor for every ward. Can you imagine that? Tractor subsidized for every ward.
Is there buses to even convey the farmers to the farms.
When we see these governors, there was a time I want to write this, going green. You see these governors showing this, and they are really monitoring it. They should monitor it too. It's not just releasing this tractor and releasing fund, because some people are ready to make sure they kill it, that it won't work. But it's those governors that will make sure you have a crack team of Nigerians that are incorruptible.
Yeah.
You put as a team to go around and be visiting and giving you a report on monthly basis. With that, at least one will be able to get 70%, even 60 to 70% success. Is something. It will be better. If we are getting that year in, year out, Nigeria will not be where it is now.
And I think creativity is part of leadership.
Yes.
So all our leaders across board should just come up with something creative.
You mentioned something there, creativity.
Yes.
Now, people have come with inventions, innovations.
Yeah.
Don't you ask Pastor Mike, what have become of those inventions? Somebody was telling us from the back of tree, display it to us, light to us showing. Why can't we see how we can harness and get further insight? No, but no government, once those things flash up on the internet, Western world, they don't just joke like that. You see, one of our own from Delta State, did something, and they saw it on LinkedIn. And you know what? They employed the guy and flew the guy to Sweden. He's now in Sweden presently now. So, you see, our own creativity, our own innovation, what happened to it? Somebody say, from so and so I can produce this. Yeah. What is the government doing about it? Just like you said something the other time, there could be a small office to make sure all these people with innovation, harvest them.
Yes.
Put them in a place, let them read, let them have exposure, let them travel, give them space. What do they need? And they need small support. You see, let them begin, to flex, to just within their own space. We'll be surprised, we'll be amazed. And then expose them to investors. Yeah. Before you know it, we are making our marks as well. It's because we need all this to develop.
Quickly, because of our time, sir, thank you so much. Two things we have to do, before we close. The situation of things in the country right now is becoming unbearable. As a pastor, as a leader, your words of advice and how can people cope, coping strategy. We are going to look into that. But before that, let's look at education in Nigeria and the education in Nigeria and case of authenticity. Authenticity of results, of school attended and all that. What do you have to say? We have had governors, leaders and some people, even to the president, having issues with results, forgery here and there and so on. And the case of a young lady that, I don't know, I think in a while now have been put to rest of a forged UTME results. So what do you have to say in all this for our viewers and especially our parents to really shine their eyes, open their eyes and make sure they keep their ears, to the ground to hear things and to know things by themselves, even from these children?
It's the right time. To me, it's an auspicious time.
Okay.
Because we have a new government.
Good.
I was in a program yesterday and I was saying this, and I'm still saying it. Lee Kuan Yew, the father of modern Singapore, is late now, but his spirit is like still living among Singaporeans. He set the tone and the template. This present government of Bola Tinubu, and I'm happy, he's not a young man, even though people want the young to rule. He's an elderly man. He's a grandfather. Yeah. So it's like staking your life. I wrote it in a book I wrote about him. I call it Tinubu Tragedy to the Throne. That he should sign his death warrant. But if you want really to lead Nigeria to the promised land, like he had in the Renew Hope agenda, if that's not, will not be a paper tiger put on a shelf. If that will be actualized, he has to sign his death warrant. He has to write his will and have to be ready to step on some toes. You see, because you need to take some hard and tough decisions. And I'm happy I'm speaking his language. That's part of the thing that he himself said. You see, because this country as it is now, You see, there are some decisions that needs to be taken, but there are some people that won't want that decision to be taken, and most of them are part of the elites, people like us, who are really part of the problem. So what I would say is that it is high time Nigeria went back to value orientation. That message in the time of Buhari Idiagbon, or let me even start from Muritala Obasanjo that time. You see, and Buhari Idiagbon during the military, he came to a time that in Nigeria, for those who are young, you may not know, it's for you to even draw paper on the floor and litter the floor, you know the offense. So you dare not do it. You have to queue up. We need to now begin to establish our values as a nation. We Nigerians have lost it to the extent that people say green passport with you, and you are like, some of us had to be fighting at immigration checkpoints when I was in Singapore, Malaysia, traveling to other nations. And I will be telling them, I don't mind whether you repatriate me to where I'm coming from, you don't even allow me to enter your country. But one thing is, not all Nigerians are the same. Some of us are different, and they'll be looking at me. I say, I don't care whether you allow me to enter, even with this visa. And they will now say, sit down, it's because of this. You know, somebody came in with Bible, and here we find drug. Okay, you can now enter. You see, some of us have to be loud and vociferous. Yes. You see, and why? Because our values have been bastardized. Nigerians have been known, more in carrying drugs, in kidnapping, in some other unprintable something. Devices. So that is why value orientation should be key and core and cogent.
And the question
part
comes
of this
to
government
mind,
now.
Where is National Orientation Agency? We've not been hearing from them.
Yes, and here they are getting allocation and getting votes. So that is why the federal government right now should actually, carry out a mass reform in that place. You remember the time of Professor Jerry Garner, when he was doing MAMSA, Mass Movement for Social, whatever it's called that time, MAMSA. Every Nigerian know about MAMSA at that time. Even in the school, you hear about MAMSA. It's about value. Yes. And that is high time, too, that we began now to preach that in schools, from primary school, even nursery. You see, let people begin to get this. You see, parents, if they are parents, even children can begin to correct them. I say, well, our teacher did not teach us that way.
Yes.
Mommy, what you did is wrong.
It's wrong.
That's wrong, because our teacher taught us this. That's the way of valuing it. Everybody will begin to. And then let's begin now to recognize and reward. Not that somebody has found $80,000 and just say thank you and shake. No.
Integrity should be rewarded.
It should be rewarded, highly rewarded. It could be financial, it could be another thing. Find out what job are you doing, what business are you into. We are supporting your business, or we are sending your children to school. So people will now be encouraged
to do more.
To show that. So value orientation is very key. You see, because if we all have value orientation, I won't want to cheat.
And don't you
I won't want to claim I have a PhD.
Yeah.
When I know it's from Oluwole in Lagos Island. Sorry, I'm referring to that. And I will say, I'm Dr. John Ekunda. And somebody will say, where did you pass out from? Which year? No, you are not my classmate. I passed out that year.
And don't you think it should be from the top?
It should be from the top and from the bottom. It should be from anywhere, because before you know it, these followers, they are the one that will become leaders of tomorrow. So it should cut across board. But leaders should show the way. Leaders should show example for us to emulate and to follow. But don't forget, we need value orientation. Value orientation. With this government there, it should be within 2 years down the line. Let people from abroad say, there is something we are seeing different.
These people.
You see, and why? How will it happen? I was on a program yesterday and I talked about this enforcement. Enforcement. Pastor Mike, small crime. Like somebody seeing the picture of Mr. President at the bus stop and you write thief there, that person should be apprehended. Somebody picking pocket, somebody even embezzling as low as 5,000. Don't say, what about people with 50 billion? Don't worry, we'll get there. Do you know what? Those people who do this small crime, according to research, when they are not caught, when there's no deterrent measures, we escalate. And that's why you see them, they become hardened criminals. And that's it. You see, and then you also take care of people also at the top who are into this thing. And some of our cake laws need to be reviewed. That's the work of the National Assembly.
Laws
State
need to
House
be
Assembly. Yes,
reviewed.
because somebody that stole
Policies
money,
will be followed up.
about 80 billion, you are saying you sentence him to 7 years, 11 years. What's the meaning of that? You know, it should be stiff. I mean, we need the stricter laws to really deal with this if we really want to come out of this. I'm not saying people should be killed like this thing like it's in China, but there could be some other thing. You forfeit all your properties.
Something somebody will
if
say
you are
and say,
forfeiting
I'm
all your
not doing
properties,
this again.
all your properties, including the one from that money, or and even that one, you lose your properties. That's it. You know, yeah, that's it. And anything your bank account is frozen, and it's to the bank. You know, when we do all some of these things, and you don't even say we are. So is important. So is for a son of Tinubu. The one is of Buhari. That one is a son of Governor or whatever. That's what I saw in Singapore.
Treated equally.
Everybody. You don't see the son of a prime minister. I live in Singapore for 4 years. You don't need the red light, and when you should stop, you are now moving. You are going to jail, or they ask you to pay fine, whichever of the two. In fact, that you are even son of it may be both. Wow. Yes, if you get to court and you are proven and you are not even sober, it may be both. Celebrities in Singapore, they just enter prison like play. Those who have name, because the fee pompous, yes. They just enter. You carry drug, enter Singapore, you know it's death. Right from the plane, they will be telling you when you are filling the form, it's there, the immigration form. So some of these things, we need to begin to emphasize our values and code of conduct. What is code of conduct? Something that you must not go beyond the boundary. Once you go against the boundary, you know the heavy penalty you are paying. Yeah. By that, everybody, whether for school, exam, anything, will sit right and will do the needful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adekunle.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate you.
Thank
now,
you for having me.
In a few minutes now, before we close, now let's talk about coping strategies. There's this popular song, olden days song now, Ilu Leo Kusowo Lode. That is, living is tough. There is no money. And everybody is bearing it. Everybody feels it. Everybody. Now, people no longer fill their tank.
Of course.
Filling up your tank now,
I bought for yesterday.
you just have to buy the
My
little
was
you
saying,
can.
Look at how much liter is this? So 20 liters or so, and it was, 20,000. Wow. And it was how much
a
on
few
the
liters. That will be few liters.
Now, coping strategies.
Yes, how do we cope? How do we survive?
Now, it's said that cut your coat according to your cloth. Some people say it's not. Some people say not according to your size, but according to your cloth, your existing cloth. Now, I will say this, that for household, I was telling my driver yesterday, we were talking, I said, well, it has come to a point that household with 3 cars, maybe you have to do with 1. Yeah. My son was sharing with me in another country. Okay. I said, Dad, and somebody in high position, a senior lecturer anyway, in a higher institution there. Okay. I said, Dad, my family, we had to downgrade our car. Now, to an average Nigerian, that's a disgrace. If I'm riding Mercedes-Benz now, and suddenly...
For him outside Nigeria,
yes,
downgrading his cars.
Yes, yeah. He said because he still can contain my family, can still meet at this thing, but I'll be saving on fuel. And I know how much dollars, maybe 200 or whatever, 250 every month I'm saving, which will go to other things. So he downgraded his car. You know, he has to pay for his mortgage on his house. You see, so it is high time Nigerians also began to think, what can I cut? What's not compulsory for me? You know, what me do I leave out? You see, and then maybe on a transition, some of us may need to leave the cities, praying that government will ensure security for us in our towns and villages. So why must you die in Lagos? You know, why? Why must you die in Port Harcourt? Why must you die in Abuja? You know, or in Enugu? Why can't you go to your town?
If you don't have anything doing in those cities that can fetch you money.
You know, set a transition something for yourself for 3 or 6 months. In fact, it's even planting season now. This is July.
Yes.
If you get to your hometown now, you can still, get some crop and plant some things. And in 3 months, 6 months, you are getting something. You know, it is high time we began to think that way. You see, because if not, it will be difficult to cope. Because the minimum wage will be increased, this and that, but not all of us are working for government.
Those things
won't reach.
They will have their ripple effects.
And then there will be inflation.
Wage is increased. Inflation will
There will be inflation. So that is why, I would say for a household now, know what to eat, know what you can cut back on till you are able to adjust, And then some of us may do, even in the cities. I remember those days, I was living with my senior brother in Akure. You know, they stay, as civil servant, they had farms not far from the town. Okay. Yes, and they go to, and we harvest yam. We bring things from there. What is making us to be pompous? You know, some of us, we better go back to the farm. Maybe it should be like, I think one governor that time, is it Adekunle or so, okay. That had back to land in one of the states. I think maybe Cross River or so. Let's go back to the land now. Go back to the land. You see, until the land. Some can even, you can raise up chicken. You can do one thing or the other.
Let's go back to the land. Yes. Let's go back to the farm. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you.
John Adekunle. We really appreciate you. Thank you for your time with us.
Thank you.
God bless you in Jesus' name. All right, viewers, we appreciate you for being part of this program today. I want to believe it's enlightening and informing. Yeah, he has said it all. Cut your coat now according to your clothing materials, not according to your size now. My name is Mike Adekunle. Bye-bye. See you next time.